It is just absolutely amazing to me that it is Friday already again. It seems like time is slipping by faster and faster each week, but nevertheless, I want to be diligent. I want to say thank you to everyone who has continued to join us over at the Florida Maki Patreon channel, where it's only $1 per month, even less if you sign up for an entire year. It comes out to 90 cents, and you get everything that's been posted in the past, what we're talking about now. We've got a lot of great topics that we're going to be covering going into the holidays. Would love to have you over there. We can take the gloves off. We don't have to censor ourselves like we do here. There are things we just can't cover, and there's a lot of things that need talked about, that need aired out. They are trying to, as Abby Martin once said, curate our reality. Meaning you can look at these things and talk about these things in this context, but you can't look at these other things or talk about those in any context. And that's where Patreon comes in. So once again, humbly, to everyone who has already joined us over there, thank you so much. You are making a huge difference in my life. Those of you who haven't, it's fully refundable. First 90 days. Meaning you could take in everything that we've talked about over the last year, and you could stick around for November, December, into January. And even up to that point, if it was not for you, if it was too racy, and I'll be very honest, there are some things over there that are probably adult only. You can say, hey, Florida Maki, I'd like my $1, $2, or $3 back. No questions asked, right back at you. Piece of cake. So I will leave that there, 1 minute and 52 seconds. Many years ago, well, I should say, I guess, perhaps 3 or 4 years ago. It seems like it's much longer given everything that's happened in the last 2 years. I found a location in Antarctica where it seemed like on the ice was setting a giant marine reptile, the remains of one, called a mosasaur. I got a lot of pushback, and at that time people were like, oh, Florida Maki, I'm just not sure. I think you might be seeing things. Well, looking back now, many years later, after all of the hundreds of finds, I think it bears looking at again. Now, this particular creature is the largest one that's pictured here. They have a 4-foot fish called an Encodus, which, if anybody hooked a 4-foot fish, believe me, you'd have a fight on your hands. It's being pursued by a 17-foot, 5-meter long, I want to get this pronunciation right, pronunciation. Let's see if I can speak English. Dolichorynchips. But even at 17 feet, this thing is being pursued by a 55-foot long, 17-meter long mosasaur. Now, over at the Florida Maki Alpha site, our backup site, earlier today we put up a video showing this laying on the ice. Now, notice the shape. You have this giant long body with 2 pectoral fins, 4 pectoral fins, and then these smaller fins toward the rear. A giant flat tail. Completely flat tail. And then the head has a very pronounced triangular jaw shape to it. Let's look at this again. Let's look at it even closer. I labeled this thing way back then frozen water monster, and I will give you the Google Earth Pro coordinates, and you can go look at this for yourself. If you look here to the left, you can see the upper jaw, the lower jaw. You can see where the eye would have been, the head, the body shape, and even right here, you can see the left side pectoral fin. You go back, it looks like the tail, the flat tail is still buried back here in the snow. But you can even see the smaller anterior pectoral fin. I'm sure there's a specific name for that fin. But it's very clear. Once again, the video that's up over at the Florida Maki Alpha site is titled, let's see if I can zoom out here, so you guys can see it and hear it as well. Subglacial caverns, large enough to hold massive creatures, now confirmed by science in Antarctica. The video kind of talks about 2 different things. This giant cavern they found down there that's thousands of feet high and many miles long. But then also these discoveries on the surface that we're seeing as a result of the melting ice down there. Many, many things are coming to the surface, and unfortunately, a lot are being washed away because nobody's really paying attention yet. But one day they will. A lot of people are focused on stories like this. After the pandemic, everybody was kind of nauseated at how many billions of dollars that Musk and Gates and Bezos, all the money they had made. Well, guess what? It's all gone. It's all gone. Elon Musk has lost $100 billion. Zuckerberg lost $100 billion. And this is around the world. Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Zuckerberg, even in China, losing billions and billions of dollars. They're talking about this. The world's 500 richest people have lost over $2 trillion. And that was as of 5 July of this year. It's much, much worse now. I'm sure it's probably more like 3 or 4 trillion. And this is really the big indicator. Even Texas, I read this story I couldn't believe from 27 October. Texas pulls from state prison budget for Operation Lone Star funding. Now, this kind of goes to what we talked about when I said if things get bad, the financial considerations will cause states to pull from prison funding because prisons are luxuries. A lot of people don't think they are, but we just saw the story out of San Francisco, Nancy Pelosi's husband. Somebody got in. There was another story that somebody had shared with me about a recently released prisoner, homeless, and did this horrible thing to this woman. I'm not going to go into the details of it, but I'm sure a lot of you are going to either get a laugh at this or maybe roll your eyes and walk off in a huff. This is a site called bosshunting.com, and I think this might be from Australia. Stripper hilariously explains why she can predict markets better than bankers, and she makes a very, very good point. You see, most people go to their job, they make X amount per hour times so many hours, and they pick up that same general paycheck every single week. Their paychecks don't give them any indication as to what's going on with the economy. Gas prices might go up or down. Grocery prices might go up or down. But girls that work in that industry, their paychecks go up and down based on the faith, I guess, for lack of a better term, that rich guys have in spending a lot of money on ridiculous nonsense. If they're looking down the road and they're thinking, man, I don't know if I can replace this money, they're going to be a lot more conservative with their spending. They may not even show up. And these girls will feel that in their income, literally immediately. And that's what this particular woman is making the statements that we see downturns way ahead of everyone else. We'll see 10%, 15% loss in income. And we're like, wait a minute. Normally there's 100, 150 guys in the bar. Now there's only 75 or 80 guys in the bar. Now, some weekends there's only 50. What used to be normal is now a good weekend, and they're spending, the ones that are coming in are even spending less. And this one gives actually financial advice because they feel it in their income immediately. They see the shocks almost right away. So anyway, kind of a funny story, but I wanted to cover something else real quick before we get out of here. Yesterday, we talked about this issue with giants returning and how men that we see today that are just either big because they're in the NFL or they're in wrestling or bodybuilding or strongman competitions, compared to what men used to look like hundreds and hundreds of years ago, these would have been described as giants for sure, because we've been very blessed in this country because we have good nutrition and good health, that we live longer, and we are, generally speaking, larger individuals. Even 150 to 200 years ago, the average height of a man was only 5 foot. It's about the average height of a woman now. 5'4", 5'5" was very common. A 6 foot tall man was very rare, depending on where you lived, of course. Nordic countries were a bit taller, but generally speaking, because of the advent of, like I said, good health and food and what we're eating, people are living longer lives and are generally bigger. So a guy that was like all the way on the left, 7 feet 7 inches tall and 400 and something odd pounds would have been one of those life-changing events to meet. But let's see if I can find this real quick here. Florida Maquis main channel right here. If you go to community, I think we might have this up already. Yep, we do. I put up a poll. Let me see if I can zoom this in. 1 second. 1 second. All right, let's do this the right way. Click community. And of course, here's a link to that video over at Florida Maquis Alpha site. We have that up. But yesterday, 18 hours ago, put up a poll meant only really for the ladies. And I want to say thank you, by the way, to the guys for actually honoring my request and letting the ladies participate and comment. Ladies only may respond. Men, however, may respond to comments politely left by ladies if they wish. Question. Ladies, would you consider a serious relationship with a giant? Over 7 feet tall, over 400 pounds minimum to qualify as a giant. Now, the first answer was, well, yes, size doesn't matter, only the heart and personality of the person. 25%, kind of a politically correct answer to say. 54%, however, were straight up honest. Now, I kind of had a little bit of fun with the answer here. I said, no, size does matter, as do double rows of teeth and cannibalism. Now, that was kind of a joke I put in there because that's how giants in the past have been described, participating in those activities. I don't think any ladies would have any guy of any size on their dance card that was into cannibalism or had double rows of teeth. I mean, maybe they might be able to forgive the teeth thing, but definitely not the cannibalism. And then I had a couple of joke options. Maybe, depends on whether children are involved. Could be a quote-unquote stretch. Ha, ha, ha. And then, of course, reference to Jack and the Beanstalk. Not sure. Climbing a beanstalk into the clouds seems dangerous, especially just for a date. And, of course, we have always our hot, fluffy pancake option. No, I might, but I'm not going to go Dutch. Fluffy pancake bill, he's going to pay. Now, the story here is really about the comments. And that's kind of where we're going to go with the rest of this video, because I got some really great comments from the ladies on this. And so well done. Tara Lynn Works says, I never thought I would marry a man like my husband. When you find the one, nothing else matters. So I think she's saying that it wouldn't have mattered height and weight. Milkmaid said, slightly outside of your guidelines, but I have had my 6'6", and at one time right at 390 pounds, now 260, thankfully, husband for 30 years now. Nothing wrong with giants as long as they can be trained. That's pretty close. I'm sure a lot of guys would kind of be taken aback by, I'm not going to be trained by a woman. Well, look, if he went from 390 to 260, being married to her, he's smart for listening to her, and she's doing it right. Because 6'6", 390, I mean, unless you're hitting the weights 4 hours a day, you're probably a little tubby. At 6'6", 260, you're probably pretty svelte and in shape. So keep looking up. The word giant screams no, but if just a really big dude, well, then personality comes into play. Love funny guys. They steal my heart. Dated a few that were not considered good looking, but their charm and humor made them extremely hot and sexy. I replied, so a great sense of humor, fun disposition outweighs height-weight issues. The original poster here, Keep Looking Up, didn't respond to that, but another character here on YouTube did, and we're going to cover her in a little bit more detail later on with another comment. She said, at Florida Maquis, absolutely, unless you're talking legit giant, double rows of teeth waiting to eat human flesh is a no-go. So she called me out on playing with the no answer a little bit because we were describing more behavior than size. Zebra to You has a daughter that's married to a guy that's 7 feet and said they get used to that real quick. Crypto Ginger said, well, most women never are around people that size, so it's tough to answer the question. This one depends on the personality. Once you find the one, kind of hard to have anyone else. Says this particular individual is 5'5", dated up to 6'4", married 6 feet tall. And basically the idea here is that initially it wasn't a problem, but they did date people that were a lot bigger, and it seemed to be some type of an issue, so that afterwards, her mind was changed based on experience. Same thing here. 5'2", dated 6'4", won't lie, awkward, so definitely no. Once again, wasn't discriminating initially, but went through a somewhat of an awkward experience, so apparently not. Once again, 5'3", talking about a brother and what looks like a nephew, 6'6" and 7'1". Loki Lorax. I don't know, could be dangerous, but I've never been shy around danger, so willing to take the chance, which I think is a great answer. You know, you only live once. Bella describes this issue with a guy who is 6'8", she's 5'5", and apparently things got a little bit, I don't know, advanced for how early the relationship was in, and that kind of put the kibosh on it, but apparently they're still friends. Same thing basically here, Triple Air Goddess. Didn't have a problem with it. Dated a guy that was much taller and much larger. Different exceptions, and she really articulates exactly what she's looking for in a guy, which I think is very, very uncommon these days. So anyway, going through all of these comments, we get down here to the bottom, and to me, this was the crown jewel of comments. This is Crystal Daniels from above. She says, size does matter when you put it into that context, but I don't want no wee man either, no giants, and no little gnome men either. This is starting to remind me of Goldilocks and the Three Bears, maybe why I'm 38 and still single. Now, I knew immediately with that comment, I'm like, this girl's from the South. This girl has to be from the South, and lo and behold, let's see if I can find it here. I went to her channel, and she's got 386 subscribers and quite a bit of content. I was actually shocked. A lot of people that comment on my channel aren't actually YouTubers themselves. But one of her, in fact, I have this set for the most popular videos. Her number 2 most popular video is going to remind you guys of something that I covered. And I said, girls down in the South are different than girls everywhere else. And she's here talking about a couple years ago, hanging out by the pool, going for a horseback ride. But I just want you to listen to this. And I'm sure a lot of you guys will be like, hey, wait a minute, what are we looking at here?
Well, hello there, YouTube. This is the way we do things down here in the South. Me and Mama are about to go for a sunset ride. I'm going to saddle the horses up before it gets dark, now that it's cooled off enough. It's hot. Been working outside most of the day, pinning up tomato plants and getting water for all these animals. So, rather than go hot and sweaty and nasty, I ran for the pool. I grabbed my boots and a shirt, dove into the pool, rinsed the sweat, and now I'm gonna put on my boots with my bathing suit and run my little tail down there to meet my mama wherever she done caught the horses. Oh dear. It don't matter what's going on in the world. Pandemic, global takeover, whatever. All's well around here. Nothing's out of the ordinary. It's just business as usual on the farm. And now, me and my boots and bikini is going for a ride. Wish me luck. My horse is a little marish. Well,
One second. I hope everybody caught that. Sorry about the quick delay there. Classic Southern woman. Just out doing whatever, running around, and it's so hot, just running around the farm in a bikini and pinning up the tomatoes and taking care of the animals and jumping in, going for a swim. And I thought it was so funny when I was doing all the videos that had the pictures of the girls in the bikinis, and I got so much pushback. Like, no, no good, decent, Christian, honest Southern woman would be caught. I'm like, are you crazy? I'm like, are you crazy? Half of them run around that way down here all the time just because it's hot. There ain't nothing immodest about it. It just is what it is. So, Crystal Daniels, well done. Well done. Thank you for making my point for me. I very much appreciate it. But anyway, I'll share you the link here. Let's see if I can find the channel. Here it is. Crystal Daniels. She's got all sorts of videos up of donkeys and dogs and goats and emus and piglets and you name it. This is a real. This is a farm. Horses. It's North Carolina. It's not Florida. It could be, but anyway, I appreciate you making my point for me with the whole bikini thing. I wasn't trying to be gratuitous with it. So many months ago or years ago when I was talking about it, it's just kind of a way of life down here. It's for the ladies. So anyway, I will leave that there. But interesting comments about giants and attitudes and how things have changed and how it may not be what you think sometimes. It really wouldn't be what you would think. A lot of guys I think would be like, oh man, I can't imagine any girl wanting to be interested in me if I was that much of a freak. But especially the guy over here, Game of Thrones guy. She looks like she's about 5'2", about 110 pounds maybe, and they got baby. So anyway, but to all y'all who've joined us over Patreon, thank you very, very much. I very much appreciate it. We're going to actually address that concept of modesty because there's a very strange question that nobody asks themselves about all of the Bible scriptures about a woman, quote unquote, adorning herself modestly. Way back when the Bible was written, exactly how many changes of clothes do you think women had in their closet? Think about that for 1 minute. This is what we're going to talk about over at Patreon very, very soon. What would have been the modest choice? Most people, when the Bible was written, when those scriptures were written, had the clothes on their back only. There was no immodest choice or modest choice or more modest or less modest choice. There was the clothes you had on. How could you have made any different choice as to wear whatever, whenever? Pretty mind-blowing, huh? But once again, psychological operations. Take away the emotion of it, and all of a sudden the truth comes out. God bless. Like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.